I never imagined that a single text message could destroy everything I believed about love. That night, my world cracked wide open, and there was no way to put the pieces back together. I thought I was safe, loved, and wanted. I was wrong. She was just my best friend, or so I thought. Until she took everything from me, the trust, the memories, even my heart. The moment I saw her name glowing on his phone screen, my breath caught in my throat. A simple message, but it shattered years of faith in an instant. I stared at it, frozen, unable to believe the words staring back at me. Can we meet? I need to talk. Who was she? Why did he hide her from me? That night, I realized love wasn't enough to protect me. That when secrets could tear us apart. And in that moment, I knew life would never be the same again. My name is Aisha. For as long as I can remember, I believed in the kind of love that fills your soul and makes every day worth waking up for. But now, after everything that's happened, I'm not so sure if that kind of love even exists anymore. I met him in college, Samir. He wasn't just my boyfriend, he was my whole world. From the moment we crossed paths in that crowded lecture hall, something clicked between us. It was like we both knew we were meant to be more than just classmates. Over the years, Samir and I built a life together, piece by piece, memory by memory. We shared lazy Sunday mornings curled up with coffee, whispered dreams in the dark, and plans for a future that seemed so bright, so full of hope. We laughed until our sides hurt, held each other through storms, and promised to be each other's forever. I thought that's what love was: trust, warmth, and unbreakable loyalty. But love isn't always what it seems. Samir was the kind of guy everyone admired. Charming, successful, and protective, always putting me first, or so I thought. People used to tell me how lucky I was, how perfect we seemed together. And maybe, for a while, we really were. Still, beneath the surface, there were cracks I didn't want to see. The late-night calls he brushed off as work stress. The times he'd zone out, distracted and distant. I blamed myself for not noticing the signs, for being too caught up in the happy moments to question the silence between us. Our friends often joked about how inseparable we were, but somewhere deep inside, I felt a growing distance. It was like we were on different pages of the same story, but I refused to believe the ending could be anything but a happy one. My family loved him too. They said he was the perfect match, the man who would treat me right and give me the life I deserved. And for a while, I believed them. I wanted to believe him. But then, there was that night. The night everything changed. I still remember the sound of his phone buzzing on the bedside table. It was late, and the house was quiet, but that small light pulling me in felt like a warning. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. The message was simple. Just a few words. But it carried a weight so heavy it crushed my heart in an instant. I wanted to shout, to run away, to scream for answers. But all I could do was sit there, numb, trapped in a moment where my whole life suddenly felt like a lie. Samir wasn't just my boyfriend anymore. He was the man holding a secret that could destroy everything we had. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, just a harmless message from a coworker or a forgotten friend. But deep down, something told me it wasn't that simple. A few days after I saw that message, I noticed the subtle changes. Samir started guarding his phone like a secret treasure. He'd quickly swipe it away when I entered the room, or silence it when we were together. His smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. One evening, I was waiting at the cafe where we often met after work. Samir was late, and my heart ached with a strange mix of hope and dread. When he finally arrived, he looked exhausted and distracted, avoiding my gaze. "I'm sorry, Aisha," he said, his voice low. "Work's been crazy." But I wasn't convinced. There was something else he wasn't telling me. I tried to brush off the growing knot in my stomach, telling myself I was overthinking, until the night I couldn't ignore it anymore. We were at a small party with friends. I noticed him texting someone, his fingers trembling just slightly. When I leaned over to see the screen, he quickly pulled his phone away. Later that night, when we were alone, I finally asked, "Who's she?" He froze. The silence between us stretched for what felt like hours. It's complicated, he said, avoiding my eyes. That's when the cracks became impossible to ignore. A few days later, I decided to follow him. I had to know the truth, no matter how painful. He drove to a part of town I didn't know well. My heart pounded as I parked a distance away and watched. Samir met a woman, not just any woman, but someone who looked too familiar. Someone from his past he never mentioned. They hugged, whispered, and then something cold and cruel settled over me. I realized I had been living a lie. I wasn't the only one in his life. But there was more. Much more. The woman wasn't just a friend. Their connection ran deeper, dangerous, and tangled in a way I never expected. I wanted to scream, to confront him, but fear rooted me to the spot. That night, as I drove home, my mind raced. How long had this been going on? Why hadn't he told me? And most terrifying of all, what did it mean for us? I was standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into an abyss of betrayal and secrets, with no idea if I'd survive the fall. After that night, my mind became a battlefield. Every quiet moment was filled with questions, every glance at Samir charged with suspicion. Should I confront him? Or was I just imagining things? The hardest part was the silence between us. He acted normal, even loving at times, but his eyes held secrets I couldn't reach. I kept replaying every conversation, every smile, wondering if I'd missed the signs. Maybe it's nothing, I told myself. Maybe I'm being paranoid. But then, that message haunted me. Can we meet? I need to talk. Who was she? And why didn't he want me to know? I sat alone in my room, clutching my phone, heart pounding. Why won't you tell me the truth? I whispered to the empty walls. Some nights, I found myself scrolling through his messages looking for a clue, a reason, anything that would explain the distance growing between us. Each unread message felt like a stab in my chest. One afternoon, I caught myself staring at his phone screen when he wasn't around. The thought made me sick, but the need to know was stronger. I tried to imagine what he might say if I asked directly. Are you seeing someone else? Would he deny it? Cry? Walk away? I was terrified of the answer, but more terrified of living with the unknown. Sometimes I caught glimpses of the man I loved hiding behind a wall of lies. One evening I confronted him quietly. Samir, please, I need to know. What's going on? He looked at me with tired eyes, voice soft but broken. I never wanted to hurt you, Aisha. It's not what you think. But those words felt hollow, like a mask to cover the truth. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But deep down, I knew I was standing on the edge of a painful truth I wasn't ready to face. Every night, I lay awake, tangled in a web of hope and despair. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe I was overreacting. But when I closed my eyes, I could see that woman's face, hear their whispers. I was losing him, and I was losing myself. Just when I thought I had seen the worst, life threw me a blow I never saw coming. The day after I followed Samir and saw him with that woman, I convinced myself I'd had enough. I needed to face the truth, whatever it was. So I waited, watched, listened. But what I discovered wasn't just betrayal. It was a secret so dark it crushed my heart all over again. Samir wasn't just meeting an old friend. That woman was pregnant. I saw it with my own eyes, the way she touched her belly gently, a fragile hope shining in her eyes. My breath caught. How could he keep this from me? How long had he known? And worse, was I supposed to be the other woman in this story? That day, everything shattered. I confronted him at home. Is it true? I whispered, tears blurring my vision. He looked at me, pain and guilt mixing in his eyes. Yes, he admitted. I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared. I still don't know what to do. My world crumbled. All the promises, the dreams, the love, it felt like a cruel joke. Why didn't you tell me? I demanded. Why did you keep this from me? He was silent. I felt like a stranger in my own life. The man I loved was living a double life, and I was the last to know. But even as my heart broke, a fierce determination grew inside me. I wouldn't let this secret destroy me. I had to find out the whole truth no matter how painful it might be. Because sometimes, the biggest betrayals come wrapped in the deepest lies. And this was just the beginning. The night I finally confronted Samir, my heart was pounding like a drum in my chest. Every step toward him felt heavier than the last, like walking through quicksand. I found him sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the wall. His eyes were hollow, like he was already broken inside. "Samir," I said, my voice trembling but steady. "We need to talk. No more secrets." He looked up slowly, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of the man I once loved. Then it vanished. "I'm sorry, Aisha," he whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you." I took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm inside me. "Why didn't you tell me about the pregnancy? About her?" He looked away, ashamed. "I was scared. I didn't want to lose you or him." "Lose me?" I repeated, disbelief burning through me. "You've been lying to me this whole time."
Welcome to Podcastle's AI Voice Hub, the world's biggest library of lifelike AI voices. Choose from 1,000 plus voices and turn text to speech in a matter of seconds. Enter your own text or just hit the play button to hear how it sounds.
He nodded, tears welling in his eyes. "I know, and I deserve all the pain you feel." I wanted to scream, to cry, to collapse, but instead, I demanded the truth. "Who is she really? What does she want from you?" Samir's silence was deafening. Finally, he said, "She's someone from my past, someone I thought I could leave behind. But now, I don't know if I can." That moment shattered me. Not just because of the betrayal, but because I realized I had been living in a fantasy while the truth was a storm raging all around me. "Do you still love her?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. His eyes met mine, raw and honest. "I don't know anymore,"